Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum, brought to you by Shannon Square Rental Properties and Chapman and Plama Law. Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Welcome back to this week's Treasure Coast Forum. I'm one of your hosts, Lee Gross, back with Frank Mespel.
That's right.
And the two-man team carries it again. Let's go.
That's right. So you were busy last week.
Yeah.
Tell our listeners where you were. You were MIA from the studio, but you weren't far from our thoughts, right?
No. I was actually up in Fort Benning, Georgia. We were actually right at this time. We were on a nice long bus ride.
Yeah.
And we got to see an infantry company graduate. We had to explore the National Infantry Museum, and then we got to go to Six Flags, and Six Flags is always fun.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So what's your favorite ride at Six Flags?
Well, that's the thing. Personally, I'm not like a ride person.
Yeah.
It's not really my thing to do roller coasters.
Right.
But I enjoyed the ones I went on. I didn't really have a favorite. I just kind of enjoyed the people I was there with.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So what was the best experience about going to Fort Benning? What was your big takeaway from that?
I thought the graduation was pretty amazing. And it wasn't a big time waster because the day before they actually did the passing out of their infantry corps and stuff, the long, boring stuff they did before.
Okay.
And I thought because we got to eat at the DFAC, at the mess hall.
Okay.
And that was a fun experience.
Yeah, food was all right?
Food was, on a scale of like 1 to 10,
Yeah.
I'd give it a good 7.
7.
And that's good enough for me.
Okay, now 10 being the best.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, got it.
And
all right.
We're going to put that in a whole other scale from like school food.
Yeah.
This was way better.
Okay.
Way better.
Okay.
You actually felt like you got your money's worth.
Good chow, huh?
Yep.
So what did you have to choose from?
Oh, funny thing. Everybody in our group, everybody on the whole bus was lining up for burgers and fries.
Right, you can get that anywhere.
Yeah, and I'll admit I was in that group too. Because I was just kind of like,
okay,
whatever, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right, okay.
And it's funny because we're all there, we're taking a long time, and they're trying to process us through, and congregate a big group of uniformed fatigue personnel behind us, probably like 25 of them at least.
Uh-huh.
And in comes the command sergeant major, like a uniformed CSM.
Right.
Opens up the doors like, hey, let's get another line going. He sees us all later on. He sees us all standing in line for burgers, and he just stops and talks to all. Why are you all taking the burgers? You can get that anywhere.
Exactly.
You can get that anywhere. Why you want to fill your stomachs with that garbage? Come have some fish or some turkey. And me thinking, wait, what? It's faster food. Immediately
faster line
runs right over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
And it was good.
And
it was good.
Yeah.
It was really good. Turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, broccoli.
Nice.
Sits fine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good. Sometimes
Again,
it takes people of a command status to kind of remind you some of the
Well, also we had
process.
no idea what to do in there, and we were all very afraid of doing something dumb. So that was fun.
Yeah, but that's a given, right? I mean, no matter what you do, once you step foot on a base, they're going to remind you what you're doing is probably not right, and this is how you're going to do it right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's their job.
Oh yeah.
That's good. As long as you understand, where you are in the pecking order, everything's good. Yeah. Cool. So how many hours did you spend up there?
Hours? Well, we spent
It was a day or more?
up there. We probably spent about 5 hours up at Benning.
Okay.
With everything factored in, we probably spent about 5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's
I mean,
good.
it wasn't. It could have been longer, but it fit well in the schedule, so it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was nice.
Yeah, good. The accommodations were good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good. Excellent. All right. So, and everybody else, how many people were on the bus trip?
About 48 of us. 48,
All right.
50.
pretty good group.
Yep.
All right. And everybody was pretty well jazzed or pretty excited about being there like you?
Yeah, I'd say they were all excited.
Yeah.
Some of them were a little bit less excited and more obnoxious, but high schoolers.
Playtime.
Specifically freshmen.
Freshmen, yeah.
Freshmen.
Yeah.
They're a wonderful bunch.
Yes. There's a reason why they're called freshmen. But yeah.
There's a reason they're called freshmen, like it's a slur.
Yeah, I get it. That's great. Well, once again, we are not challenged for news.
Oh, no. Oh, God, no.
So
We're finding hay in a haystack. Not
right.
a needle in a haystack, hay in a haystack.
So, of course, we woke up to find out that David Shulkin is no longer, he was fired.
From his position as Secretary of Veterans Affairs.
Right, from Secretary of Veterans Affairs. And basically the president said, on balance, he did some good things, but the fixes for the Veterans Affairs weren't happening fast enough to suit the president. So he felt he needed to put somebody else in there to try to move that process along a little bit quicker. People are looking for veteran services. The president is really anxious to make sure that they don't have to wait for services. Yeah. Don't get in line. Just
Pass.
show
And
up.
Truthfully, they deserve it.
Exactly. Yeah, they've earned that right to get treated properly. So, so he's on a mission to get that done. So that is one of the reasons why. And I guess there was some bad press to travel issues between the secretary and his wife. And it's like, so it's not like that's the first time those things have happened. But sometimes they, and of course the opposing party makes, everything that you could do wrong. That maybe it was an honest mistake or whatever, but God forbid you don't get an opportunity to make it right before you get criticized. So, and there was that, but the number one issue for the president was making sure that the veterans were looked after, and he just didn't feel like it was getting done soon enough to suit him. So.
Yeah, and that was also down to, because I read a little bit about it, is that Shulkin clashed a lot within Veterans Affairs. Like, he couldn't bring everybody together, and he clashed with Trump a lot. Like, they weren't, him and the rest of the cabinet were all like the same stuff. Yeah, they just weren't meshing well. Yeah. And that's fair enough.
Yeah, it happens. But, the president needs to be able to get the cabinet that he wants, and the people that want to be there and want to work for him, and
that want to work together to advance
play
policy.
Nice in the sandbox. Yeah. So that's all right. So you're off to do a color guard for the ball game tonight, right?
Yeah.
South Fork versus Jensen Beach, hosting Jensen Beach.
Yeah. I mean, I probably would have rather have been at Jensen Beach because we're closer to Jensen Beach.
We are.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to double back to the ranch, back to school.
Back to Neverland.
How long does it take to get to South Fork from here?
From here, probably about 20, 25, I'd probably say, depending on how well traffic is.
Yeah. Fortunately, you're going the opposite way of where all the traffic is, so that's the good news, right?
Yeah.
All the traffic's going to be going the other way, and it gets stacked up pretty good. Before they built the new Palm
before
City
they built
Bridge.
the new bridge, Lord,
the Veterans Memorial Bridge, I think they call it.
You're better
right?
off just going around and going like 95.
The traffic backup on Canner before the new bridge was monumental.
Horrendous. I remember it. It was bad.
Yes. So what do we want to talk about in the news? There's, I guess here's an item. The Florida sheriff is under fire after the Parkland horror has heated standoff with a reporter. So apparently him and a reporter had words.
Really?
Yeah, the reporter may have been challenging him on some of his assertions, and he didn't like. He's one of those people that really doesn't like to be challenged. So, and he'll let you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon.
Right. Did you hear about the tragedy in California. There's a family of 8 that went over
I
a
heard.
cliff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were actually in the news earlier. That particular family, they had some adopted children in their family, and they've been in the news before, and just some of the interesting things that they've been involved in, and so it was a big tragedy. And the one child that they were looking for, that was well known out of this family, they haven't found him yet, so they're not too sure what happened. So they're still trying to put that whole scene together. Let's see now, what else we got going on? You know about the first pitch on opening day in baseball, Marlins versus the Cubs. First pitch, home run. So
Foreshadowing.
and there's already a diehard fan is already said he's done with Miami, and he's a free agent. He is waiting for another team to pick him up to be he can be their fan. So
He can't be the first one.
right. Okay, and
We have the Miami Dolphins.
right, and Laura Ingram said some unflattering things about the
yeah.
student, Mr. Hogg, and over the Parkland. She took exception to some of his assertions and let him know, because the mantra out there is, he's a youngster, and you can't argue with him. He has full reign to say whatever it is he wants, First Amendment and all, and you just can't take an opposing position. And well, she did. And so he went, I guess, on Twitter and Facebook, or Twitter or Instagram and Twitter, and he and basically a lot of advertisers that normally sponsor some of the ads that run during her show, not so much. So kind of sad, really, because here he is, a fairly young individual,
A kid my age.
wielding an awful lot of power.
Yeah, it's funny because I've actually seen. Okay, so
Is it
obviously
possible that he doesn't know as much as he thinks he does? Is it possible?
I mean, there's really no way. I mean, of course it's possible, but there's no real way to know. I thought I saw this really interesting point somebody made. Just because you're the victim of a tragedy doesn't suddenly make you a public policy expert.
Yes.
And
I think that's essentially
right
her.
there-
That's essentially Laura Ingram's position.
that right there is a point that is lost on so many people.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah. So hopefully, time will pass and we'll all grow from the experience. So
And the thing is, if we're going off, if they want to say, oh, well, we were a victim of this tragedy and we deserve to be able to lobby for this. Well, if we're going off that same logic, then technically wouldn't every single combat veteran, like every veteran who's seen combat, wouldn't they get to do the exact same thing?
right.
But they don't, because that's something associated with being active duty and serving. You don't be public with your opinion, or you shouldn't,
Right.
at least.
That's right. You're
Definitely not when active. Retired, different story.
right. Sure.
But active duty, you shouldn't. So
right. You're there to just
why do they?
serve. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Point well made. So the president was in Richfield, Ohio today, giving a talk before over 400 union workers from Local 18 at the Richfield training site. And while the president was there, he touted a series of campaign promises and progress that he made during the first year in office. Trump detailed plans for revamping infrastructure around the country. Well, as a result, parenthetically, I will tell you, Wall Street closed many points higher. All the stocks that rely on concrete, steel, and like that for infrastructure work, they all did very well today.
That's good.
So apparently, I think he had a pretty sympathetic audience there in Ohio, and they really liked his message. one of the points that Trump made during his speech is he said nearly 40% of our bridges were built before the first moon landing. That was 1969, by the way, in case you're keeping track of that. Clogged roads force the average driver to spend 42 hours every year stuck in traffic, costing U.S. citizens $160 billion annually. Our mass transit systems are dilapidated and decayed. Nationwide, we average 300 power outages per year. I didn't know that. And compared that to just 5 per year in the 1980s. That's a stunning stat. Interesting. So anyway, so that's part of his whole, he really wants to put a lot of emphasis on our infrastructure, which is sorely needed.
Yeah, if we don't do it now,
areas.
someone's going to need to do it later down the line.
Right.
In the next probably 10 years.
And it'll only cost more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll only cost more.
Exactly. So we've got a call coming in. Stand by. All right. WSTU. Hey, John. All right, stand by. We'll put you on the air, all right? All right, we've got John from Stewart on the line. How you doing, John? Thanks for calling.
All right, but I'm disappointed in you and the kid. They're not talking about all the kids demonstrating all over the country to do something about all these assault weapons and and killings.
We've talked about that before, haven't we? About it's the AR-15. It's not really an assault weapon.
I mean,
but
if you want my opinion on the march
about
itself,
right?
We even had them in Stewart.
Right. Okay. Well, first of all, there was a big demonstration over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yep. To your point.
Actually, I think one of the biggest demonstrations we've ever seen.
Right. Well organized.
Very well organized. I actually know some of the people that organized it, and they
right.
did a very good job.
Very well organized. 10% of the audience were, in fact, kids.
Yeah.
There was a lot of adults there, too, so supporting the kids. And absolutely. I mean, that was the news earlier this week. We're just trying to go with more.
Yeah, but you didn't talk about it last week, and you're not talking about it today. So I think it's a big event, especially when we had a demonstration right in Stewart.
Okay.
I mean, well,
Memorial
if you
Park
want our
was it?
opinion on it, I mean,
Pardon?
there's nothing really. I mean, what are we going to say?
That there was a
I
demonstration.
mean, of course, I agree
Well,
with it. I
don't
love the
think
fact
it's
that everybody's
great.
getting together to protest something and to put forward what they think
Right.
should be done.
Okay.
Whether or not I agree with what I think should be done or not, I think it's amazing.
Right.
And I think it's very good for
Right.
what we're getting towards it. Like as my
Having-
generation
right.
becomes adults,
Having
I
a
think it's
civil
awesome.
conversation.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted you to say you thought it was a good thing, and not
Oh yeah,
think
no, I
it's
mean,
some
what
liberal
I would say it's a
plot
bad
to
thing.
Take your guns away from you.
Oh God, no, we're not that kind of people.
Well, I don't know. I know you're both conservative Republicans.
I'm actually more of a moderate.
Are you?
No, I do. I consider myself more of a moderate. I call myself a Republican. I do, but I consider myself a moderate.
Yeah. Well, I'm a registered Republican, but I'm a rhino.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes, I understand
Because I care
that.
I
about
got
the
you.
environment. I usually find myself voting for the Democrats that care about the environment, where the Republicans are usually in bed with the industry and the Chamber of Commerce that just go to the altar of the almighty buck. And
Sure
that's
seems
why I
that
have a
way.
problem.
Yeah.
Can't disagree with you there.
All right.
So I do agree with Trump on immigration. I think it's really great. But you notice he never mentions the 40% that come in and overstay their visas.
Oh, he has
All he
mentioned
talks
that.
about
Oh,
is
yeah,
the wall,
he has.
the wall, the wall.
Right, but the wall is for the thing is that the folks that do overstay their visas, they are often talked about by this administration, and even the previous administration, to their credit. And but the wall, the problem is that people that have been returned to their country, okay, shown the door, and they keep coming back.
Right.
And so how is that? Well, obviously they're not coming back illegally through the normal channels. So how are they getting in? And so so really, I think that's essentially what he's trying to do, is trying to close those loopholes, for want of a better term. So
it's just pretty bad that 40% come in by overstaying their visas, and he never mentioned it once.
No, that's not true, John.
And I listen to him all the time. And
it is mentioned.
He's that called broken record, the wall to wall.
Well, he's a one-man band on that. I mean, he wants these. That's his thing, and then once he gets that started, then I think he'll be on to other things. But yeah, that has always been part of the conversation.
And if you've ever been to the Big Bend National Park down in Texas, I just can't picture a wall blocking off the Rio Grande and the Mexican hills.
And there's a lot of people will tell you that there's a lot of areas along the border that is just not feasible to build anything, and they'll be using other techniques, whether it's drones or helicopters or whatever, some sort of electric wire, barrier of some sort.
Right.
But they'll use the euphemism as wall, John, but they will not be called.
Well,
it will not be a physical wall. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, we thank you for your call.
Time.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for calling in, John.
All righty.
Righto. Bye.
All righty.
Take care, man.
Opinions expressed
Whoa.
are those of the program.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's too loud.
All righty. So we thank you for calling. We thank you for listening, and we're going to take our break now, and then you're going to go off to South Fork High School.
I do,
right?
yes, I do need to be heading out soon.
Okay, very good. So we thank you for listening, and stay tuned for 7 o'clock. We'll have the South Fork and Jensen Beach ball game right here on WSTU. And now it's time for today's Southeast Agnet Report, brought to you by Everglades Farm Equipment, a family-owned business for the past 50 years with 10 Florida locations, including Fort Pierce, Okeechobee, and Loxahatchee. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to Treasure Coast Forum. I'm Frank Mezzapel. Lee Gross is already on the road on his way back to South Fork High School so he can do the color guard routine for the upcoming ball game between South Fork hosting Jensen Beach. That will air tonight here at 7 o'clock on WSTU. And Debbie is sitting in, my Friday co-host. Welcome, Deb. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Great.
It's just like it's Thursday.
You hopped in like the Easter
I like the
bunny.
bunny. Yeah, I got all the great stuff here.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be. They don't know what I'm going to do.
Right.
It's like a big surprise.
It's like Christmas every time you show up.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
We've got Bob on the line, Deb.
Bob.
How you doing, Bob?
Good. Hey, how you doing, Debbie?
I'm fine. How are you?
I can't complain. Beautiful weather. Snowbirds are leaving soon.
You think so?
Yeah.
They're here for another month.
And most of them leave actually right after Easter.
Well,
and then I guess
Easter's
the ones
early
actually-
this year. It depends on when they rent their places or if the family's coming down.
Yeah, it's smart to stay a while because a lot of them used to leave the day after Easter, and then and if they drove here, they're sitting in traffic, all the time.
Oh yeah, it's a parking lot on 995 or 75.
Yeah. So it's better to stay for a few more weeks so to get more in the springtime up there and spend a little more money down here.
Yeah. So
Okay, talk amongst yourselves. The lady wants to ask me something. Yeah.
Okay. So the baseball started
Oh,
today.
okay. What time?
Today, and all teams played today.
Okay,
30
I'll take care of
teams.
it. I'll move
Not
it.
all of them.
Well, they said like 30 teams
There was-
started today.
Right. Baseball was supposed to start in Detroit today, but no.
Because of the weather?
They got rained out. And
Wow.
I think Cleveland, too. I want to say
Yeah,
Cleveland.
I heard you talking about the Marlins fan.
Yeah. He's.
Apparently they're not going to.
Are you recommending?
very-
Are you recommending a team for this Marlins fan? He said he's a free agent. He's looking for a new team.
Well, go to the Detroit Coyotes. Dad, they have coyotes actually running around Detroit now.
Do they?
Oh,
really?
they're all over the nation. We have them here. I don't walk in the dark anymore because they passed me up.
Yeah, but we're not a city like Detroit.
No, but they go across the bridge on Hutchinson Island.
Do they really?
Yes, they do, and they scout out for the turtle eggs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's been going on for a
I've
while.
never seen that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, they when Francis Langford sold her property and they started a couple years ago developing it, we had so many wildlife, and I'm walking half dark in the morning, and another guy's walking towards me, and these pack of coyotes just ran right through us, and I'm there like, really?
Wow.
So I haven't seen them lately. But if you haven't been to Rio, Jensen Beach, the roundabout there
Is
at
almost
Langford
done.
Landing
Yeah.
is beautiful.
Yeah. So what?
But you know what the thing is with the Marlins, a lot of people say, is they call it a horse farm. They get good young guys. They have a good eye for scouting young talent.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they they prove themselves, they put them up for auction.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
And they had that beautiful new stadium. I thought after they
Right.
built that, maybe they would stop doing that and start trying to actually, plan for the future.
Right.
it's all about the dollar.
Yeah, it's
It's
sad.
a shame.
Yeah,
It's a shame because there's a lot of good players out there.
Right.
yeah.
And
My
the-
kids are big fans of all the Miami teams: the
You know-
Hurricanes football, the Hurricanes baseball.
Right.
Bob-
My son used to go to camp down there at University of Miami for baseball when he was younger.
Do you think, Bob, if the Marlins as a team had to pay for their own ballpark instead of letting the city of Miami underwrite some of that expense, do you think they would be a little more aggressive about trying to have a successful franchise?
Maybe, yeah.
Because they don't
Because that
have
would
enough.
they would be paying.
They
for
don't
it.
have enough skin in the game. I think
Yeah.
that's my take
And-
on it.
It all changed when Heisinger got rid of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and unfortunately, he passed last week or the
Yeah.
week before.
Yeah,
and
just
what a
this
big
past
icon he
week.
was for Florida.
He was for our area.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Hey, Frank, I'll have
Yeah.
to call you back in about 3 minutes.
All right, bud.
Okay, go to the
All right.
bathroom and we'll take a check.
All right.
Call me back. All right. Yeah. So All right, no problem. So we've got that going on. Ben Affleck made the news. Did you know about this?
No.
Yep.
I haven't had time. Frank, I just got off work. I worked so, I mean, I've been working.
Yeah.
And I'm like a top, even tomorrow.
You're still spinning.
Yes, I'm still spinning. And when I get done here, I'm spinning around town and then going home and spinning again and getting to bed probably like 11, 12 o'clock at night because I have to get you have to get so much done during the day.
Right.
So that you're not backpedaling the next day.
Right.
And with this time change, I'm telling you, it hurts me.
Yeah.
Big time.
You're not caught up yet?
No. I won't be. And now it's going to be sanctioned.
Right.
It's up there at the House and the Congress and the Senate, and it's going to be sanctioned because Governor Scott signed it. As far as I know.
Yeah, but it can't come law unless the federal government signs off on it.
Right. Well, I think the House or the Senate did, and the other one has to.
Really?
That's what one of my customers came in and say, "Yay, we're going to have daylight savings time." I said, "Really? We can't have standard time?"
Nope.
I love standard time. It's the right time.
Yeah. I know.
It gets lighter in the morning.
Right.
You can get stuff done. If it gets light at 7:30 in the morning, you're already behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I know, but I think our neighboring states like Alabama, Georgia, would have a problem with us being on a different time than them.
Well, the whole eastern seaboard would have a problem,
right? But
because we'll be on a different time zone.
Right.
We might be the Conch Republic. When Key West wanted to succeed from Florida and be their own, we might as well be the Conch Republic and be our own entity.
Right. Yeah.
So.
All right. So what are you doing for Easter?
Going to my sister's.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the baskets all lined up, and
nice.
you know me, I'm like ahead of the game.
Yes.
I pre-plan because when you're working and doing so much, you go out and you do stuff ahead of time. You pick up this, you pick up that. Not all. You don't go a mass shopping.
Right.
So then you can look at what you have and see what you need, and it's a work of art to make a basket.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Yeah, I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to make a couple of baskets for my grandson and my granddaughter. And
good.
Bring that over on Sunday morning.
Okay, you're having brunch?
Yes. And so my daughter Susan, she doesn't think she'll be able to get the kids up, and my son Scott might want to do sunrise service.
Oh, sunrise service.
Yeah. So
okay. I'm usually there. You're usually there.
Yep.
Is Tiffany going too?
She's no. She took a contract. She's going to be out of town. Yeah.
Is she still out of town?
Yeah. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's all right.
I thought it?
Well, she came back and then she left again.
Okay. So when is she coming back again?
When she's done.
Oh. Okay. Okay. I thought maybe for Easter they.
She'll be probably back Sunday night.
Okay.
Yeah, I think her current plans call for her to be back Sunday night.
Good.
So.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, you're welcome to come to my sister's.
Oh,
it's like,
thanks.
the bathroom break is over.
Bob, are you still there?
Yeah, sorry about that, buddy. Yeah, I had to move one of my machines. Was in the way of some people here.
Oh, well, you can't have that.
The people eater. The people eater machine. It was going to run right over them. And
that's right.
Purple people eater. Huh?
Yes.
All right.
So that's the room?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, then.
No, go ahead.
Did you hear about the rumor that something like Paul Ryan might be stepping down or not seeking to be a speaker?
That's been bubbling up since the beginning of this year, that conversation. Actually, since the end of last year.
I heard it on Fox News like yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, that rolls up. That conversation seems to come up every few weeks.
And I think maybe he might have got scared when they fired that guy the day before he got his full pension.
Yeah.
That was Bolton?
No.
No, Bolton's a new one then.
No, that was a
who was
FBI
that?
agent.
Right, the
Yeah.
FBI,
Yeah.
and he waited, and
That was-
it was over the weekend they fired him, and it was Sunday he was
Andy
retiring.
Andy McCabe.
Okay.
Yeah, McCabe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. I think that's to scare a lot of these.
Well, and here's
elites and rhinos that
Well, the hand
I think
wringing, the hand wringing. Oh, he's just hours short of his getting his retirement, and the reality is he still gets his retirement. It's just not going to happen right away.
Right, he's not going to lose anything.
No. That's retirement.
That's a shame. I was hoping he would.
No.
It
No,
seems
the
like
only way he
one
would lose that, Bob, is if he ends up in jail.
Right.
If he gets convicted of a crime, he goes to
Or
jail.
went to bed with 20,000 women that stood up and said something. Maybe he would lose his pension, but no.
Yeah, I guess Scooter Libby then still the only one that gets fired in Washington.
Yeah.
Really, from his pension, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it wouldn't bother me if Paul Ryan stepped down. But then again, who votes to put him back in there? The people in the House.
Yeah.
They're going to vote for somebody just like him.
Well, I like Paul Ryan.
Not me. He's to me, he's a rhino. He's an elite. I like what he says. God, when he was running for president years ago, I thought, wow, this guy's very fiscally conservative and everything.
Right.
But he got in there, and like a lot of these guys, he got into Washington. He cozied right up with John Boehner.
Right.
And,
You're right.
Yeah. I just I don't care too much for him. He still talks a good game, but it never comes through. After that budget that he threw out, I don't care who. I knew all these fools would sign it. I still want to know who wrote it. I mean, ask them what's in it.
Yeah. How many pages?
And no one looked at it.
No, because they had only hours. That started during the Obama administration with the health care bill.
Right.
Oh yeah, last minute, right before the holidays.
Pass this, let it go through. No one will know anything.
We have to pass it before we know what's in it.
Right. No.
And then they don't return to their hometowns because they don't want to attend any town hall meetings and get yelled at.
Right. And then you have the 3 pigs getting sold at auction. In that whole Escalade there.
Oh,
Just saying. I mean, they put pork in it.
All right.
Yeah.
Is it pulled pork?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to take a break, I think.
Yeah, we have to take our regulation timeout. Bob, you going to stay with us?
Are you going to move another people mover?
No, I'm done. I'm sitting on it actually right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We'll be right back.
All right. Stay tuned. All right, we are back, and we still have Bob on the line, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
What did you eat with the purple people eater?
I just watched an eagle pick up a fish.
Oh, is that so cool?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just incredible, their eyesight and their skill.
Yeah.
That's
where
amazing.
the term eagle eye comes from, I
Right.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. And one time I was sitting on my front porch putting on my work boots, and I see this. I think it was an eagle, because the eagles, I think the egrets also, they die for those. But I see this bird flying at me, and it looks like he's holding something shiny, like jewelry or a coin or something in its claws. And it was only about 20 feet over my house, and it just flew right over me. And I look up, and here's this fish flapping its tail with the scaredest look you ever see on a fish, if you can have one. Can you imagine you're swimming in a lake, next thing you know, you're cruising the neighborhood, 25 feet up in the air. It must be scary as he looked.
Man.
Oh, it is. I had a farm, and they used to dive down and get the chicks or the smaller birds, and then and then fly off with them, and you could hear the birds just screaming, like they knew it. They knew they were dinner that night. They weren't going anywhere.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. Well, it was Ben Franklin wanted our. Wasn't he the one he wanted our national bird to be the turkey?
Turkey.
That's
You're
correct.
right.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah. The one to look up when it rains and drown. Yeah.
It was his feeling. This was his feeling that the turkey was a noble bird, as he put it.
Right.
So
it is with butter and
And I had customers come in the other day, and they were down at Indian Riverside Park, and there were two eagles, and they were doing the mating dance in the air.
Oh,
that's where they fly and they do the mating.
And then they fall. They lock talons and they fall, don't they?
I wasn't there to watch it, but they were mesmerized. They said, "How much better can that get to see nature like that?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see a lot of them down the Keys,
Well, Florida is the second largest state for eagles. Yes. And then it's, I think Alaska's the number one, and or we're right together, number one and number two. At the furthest end of our continent here, North America. But yes.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine's going. I've never been to Alaska. A friend of mine and his wife are going to Alaska, and they're doing all the crazy stuff. He's doing his bucket list. Nothing wrong with him. He's just doing it because now he can afford it. And they're going to take a train in the mountains, and they're going to do all kinds of,
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I like watching Below Zero. I don't know if you watch the Weather Channel or National Geographic, and these people that live up there. It's amazing how.
Yeah, haven't they heard about EBT cards up there?
Who's going to get? Where are you going to go? There's no store. Where are you going to go and get it?
If we don't get a bear, we're going to starve this winter.
That's right. And they use everything: the bear fat, the skin, the fur. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
Did you ever see the one where I don't know if it was I don't know if it was that one or no one about Alaska, but this guy actually had his little wife climb into this bear cave, where it's hibernating, and she actually went in there, and it was incredible. He said, "Oh, I got your feet, I'll pull you out if anything happens, and she did it.
Was she crazy?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Wow. And what was she going in there for? Just to film it?
To see it, to see if there's one to shoot.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That would have been, I don't know that I could have done that.
That would have been the grounds for divorce right there, I'm telling you.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
It amazes me what they do. I like that one, the one with Osprey, or what's his name?
The Osprey?
The guy, his name's Os or something. His whole family's up there. And,
okay.
He's always doing crazy stuff, and his brother's up there, and his whole family, they're all up there.
I like the guy that he made. He was trying to get the wood-burning stove up on the second floor, and he made an elevator out of the wood and hoisted it up somehow.
It's amazing.
It was amazing how and it worked. He got it up there, and then he dismantled it, and that
Did
was
you
it.
ever see Northwood's Law?
No.
Yeah, it's basically game wardens, but they also have like police powers. I mean, they pull people over on the highway, you know. But
I don't. I like to watch the Wild West.
They're mostly in Maine, but it's amazing how many laws they have up there. You know, there's so much woods and there's so much prey out there, but
Right.
they are so. I mean, you can't hardly sneeze without these guys finding out.
Wow.
You know, it's incredible.
And what
But I watch
station
a lot
is
of
that
those-
on? I'll watch it.
I don't know. I don't know even what channels I have anymore because I keep changing it, you know, and just to hopefully get something good. I mean, I watch Fox News and I watch Street Outlaws. I like the guys that race on the streets,
Right.
and I like the animal shows. Besides that, it's all a bunch of crap, you know.
Well, there's always Roseanne.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Until she turns tired again. Yeah.
Yeah, she now she's like on top of the world again. She was the dregs of the earth there for a while and hated everybody and did everything. Now she's Miss Roseanne, the queen.
Oh yeah. Well, she'd take another shot at the national anthem, maybe.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
She couldn't do any worse. All right.
I think we got to go. This was
All
great
right, guys.
talking to you, Bob.
Good to talk to you, Deb.
Okay.
Take care, guys, and
You
enjoy
too.
Easter.
All righty. You too. Happy
Okay, have a
Easter.
great weekend.
All right.
Happy Easter, everybody.